Hello there, folks. Today I'm going to be teaching you how to play Between Two Cities, which is a game, urban planning game. So you design the layout of your own city. So this game is 1 to 7 players, and it takes about 30 minutes. So it's a shorter game, even though it is a little complex. So let me take some of these pieces out and then I'll take you through the rules. My friend had these really disgusting candies, and I just noticed when we were last playing this, she snuck them in. Also, in case I accidentally get my hair in frame, I did dye it green. Ooh. Hallway dog's angry. So these are the city formats. You can see their little grids, and in this game we'll be building these building tiles into the grid of your city. Something like this. And it's like a tile drafting kind of game. So similar to Seven Wonders format, you'll be passing around these building tile options and picking from that what you would like to build in your city. The twist to this game, however, is the best part, which is you don't actually have a city of your own. You are between two cities, and so you are building the city with the player to the right of you, and then building the city with the player to the left of you. So that's why it's called Between Two Cities. And so it's somewhat of a competitive game, but with cooperative elements to it, which I think is really cool. So this is the rule book, which I will take you through, but they also have a really lovely cheat sheet guide on the back here, which once you know kind of the flow of the game, it's really easy to get almost all the information you need just from the back page. So I'm going to start with explaining kind of the overall gameplay for Between Two Cities. So the game will be split into 3 rounds, and I'll go through what a round looks like. So the first thing you'll do in a round is draw a hand of tiles. In this case, we'll start with 7. And then in the round, you will look at your hand and select 2 buildings that you would like to build. And so once every single player has decided the 2 tiles they have chosen. Then we'll all flip those 2 tiles simultaneously, and then this hand will be passed to the next player, and you'll get your next hand from the player next to you. Now what you'll do is you have these 2 tiles that you chose, and you'll discuss with your 2 cities which building you want in each of the cities and where you would like to place it. So maybe this person wants some more factories, so we would build that on this city, and then maybe this city wants some more parks, we can build that there, and then we are going to repeat this process until we are down to 1 tile in the hand. So I'll pick another 2 tiles, repeat the process, pick another 2 tiles, repeat the process. When you're down to 1 tile, you'll just discard that one. So like I mentioned, there are 3 rounds. They operate in that same format, but the first round, each player will start with 7 tiles, like I mentioned, and we will pass to the left each time. That's the first round. The second round, we will be using these duplex tiles, so you can tell double the buildings. And we will just draw 3 duplexes, keep 2, and discard 1. So the second round there won't be any passing. And then the third round is just like the first, except you will be passing to the right instead. So same as the first, you'll draw 7 of these tiles, pick 2, pass to the right, pick 2, pass to the right, pick 2, pass to the right. So that's kind of the format of the turns and the flow of the game. And now I'll talk through how we can place tiles. Like I mentioned, each turn you will pick 2 tiles, and when you are placing these tiles, you have to give 1 of them to each of your cities. After you decide on tile placement for the turn, it cannot be moved in a subsequent turn. So you'll want to discuss that over, make sure you've made your final decision on where you're placing the tile. And this is kind of where the cooperative element comes into play, because you'll be discussing with this partner on this city, discussing with this partner on this city on which tile goes where. When you're placing the tile, it must be adjacent to an existing tile, of course, except for the first one, which can go anywhere on this 3x3 square. Also, when you are placing a tile, it must be oriented all in the same direction. So, so the symbol for the building should be in the top right for all of them. So you wouldn't be able to have buildings oriented in different directions, which doesn't matter so much for the individual tiles, but will matter a lot more for the duplex tiles. So for example, this one can only be facing up like this. I wouldn't be able to place it like this or place it like this. Also, you can see on these 3x3 starting maps, there's only a few available squares. So these squares are all filled up with, in this case, a canyon. And so you could only place tiles here, 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 and then in a 1 square border around it. You can also see on this map in particular, there's a bridge that ties this tile to this tile, and that means that the building you place here is effectively adjacent to the building you place here for scoring. Now I'm going to go over what all of the different tiles mean. So on a given tile, the top left symbol and color shows the building type. So this one is gray, and that symbol means factory. The bottom has a shorthand notation for the scoring of each type of tile, and I'll go through that scoring now. So the first one is the yellow shop tile type, and shops score when they are connected in a line. So if you had 1, 2, 3, 4 in a perfect line, could be a row, could be a column, that would score you points. Here it says at the bottom 2, 5, 10, 16. So if you have one solo, it would be 2 points. If you had 3 in a row, it would be 10 points. 4 in a row, 16 points. So you would, as best as you can, place it in a line on your map, kind of like this, to score the most points. Also, something to note is you can't double score a tile for these. So if I had kind of a T shape, maybe something like this, where there are shops going this way and there are shops going that way, I wouldn't be able to count this shop in both of the lines, just one of them. The next type that I'll go over are the gray factories, and factories score if your city has more factories than any of the other cities, any of the other players' cities. So if this city has the most factories at the end of the game, then each of these tiles will be worth 4 points. If the city has the second most number of factories, they'll be worth 3 points each, and if it's third, then 2 points each. So for example, if I had 1, 2, 3 factories, and I had the second most number of factories, each of those 3 would be worth 3, and I would get 9 points. Next up are the taverns. These are the red tiles, like so. And taverns score if you have unique sets. So you can see these taverns have different symbols. There's a hotel, restaurant, concert, and bars. And you can see the numbers at the bottom here show how many points you get in filling that set. So if I just had 3 in a set, they can be anywhere in the city, not necessarily next to each other. This would score 9 points, the third number on the tile. If I had all 4 in the set, then it would be worth 17 points. And if you would like to, you can build multiple sets of them. They'll just score completely separately. So, for example, if I had this extra restaurant, I would have 1 set of 4, and then that 1 set of 1 extra restaurant. So that would be 17 plus 1 points. The next type is offices, which are blue. And offices score more for each that you put down. So similarly, they have the points down here depending on how many offices you have. And an office scores an additional point if it's next to a tavern. So just at least one tavern office will score an additional point. So if I had, in this example, 2 offices, that would be 3 points. But each of these offices is touching at least one tavern, so I get 1 additional point for each of them, so I would have 5 points. The next up is the park, which is, of course, green. And parks score more if they are connected to each other, but if you build it too big, it kind of gets diminishing return. So if I have 3 parks connected, that's the biggest bang for my buck at 12 points. And each unconnected grouping of parks scores separately, and they can be in any shape or blob, so they don't have to be in a specific line as long as they are connected to each other. The last one is the houses, of course. So houses usually want to be in a city with a good mix of locations, but they don't want to be next to a factory. So each house is worth 1 point per other building type in that city. So if I have, let's see, parks, shops, offices, and taverns in this city, that's 4 different types aside from the house, so each house would be worth 4 points. The only exception to that is, of course, people don't usually like living next to factories, so if the house is next to a factory, it's automatically 1 point. It can't earn any more than that. Okay, I actually completely forgot one tile type, so I'm gonna edit it back in. Let me find one. There are purple tiles, which are special, unique types of buildings. This one is a library. We also have a monument, and these buildings will show in the top left corner. There are 2 building types that they prefer to be next to, and 1 building type that they do not want to be next to. So, for example, the library is good next to offices and houses, but it's not good next to shops. The monument is good next to taverns and parks, but not good next to houses. So the way that you'll score these is if you place it next to one of the good building types, you'll get 3 points. If you place it next to 2 of the good building types, you get 6 points. And if it's next to any of the building types it doesn't want to be next to, it is automatically 1 point. So those are all the different types of buildings. You'll go through the 3 rounds, place them in whatever orientation you decide with your partner, and then you will do scoring, and you will score every single city. You can add this up on your phone, or if it's more fun, you can use the scoreboard that they have. Let's see if I can make a little space for this. So on the scoreboard, we will track it based on these little city tokens. So let's say the city token for here, we'll place that at 0. Maybe another city is this one, place that at 0. And then as you're scoring, you'll move these up the tracker. If you are this far in the video and enjoying it, which I hope you are, I would appreciate a little like or subscribe or whatever sounds best to you. So usually what we'll do is go through one building type at a time. So if you want, you can use the cheat sheet card. Start with the houses, score those, then the factories, score those, and count them up for each individual city. And then when you have your final score for each of the cities, the way that you determine the final score for each of the individual players is your score is the lower of your two cities. So if I really built up this city but neglected my other city, my final score would be the lower one. So this kind of encourages you to build up both cities so that they're somewhat even. And then of course, whoever has the highest score is the winner. If there is a tie, then you'll compare your two highest scoring cities, and whoever has the higher one wins. So that is the game of Between Two Cities. There are also different rules for 2-player or 1-player if needed. And now I'll take you through setup so that you can start your game of Between Two Cities. Alright, so for setup, this game has a little bit of a twist on the usual first player question, which is I have a whole set of different player order questions, and this is actually pretty pivotal to gameplay since you are collaborating with the person to your right and left. It makes a huge difference what order you're in. So there are various things. You can order yourself by your wake up time in the morning, birthday order, shirt color in rainbow order, some of them, hair length, just various random things. So you would determine highest to lowest and then sit in a circle that way, and that would determine who you're going to be collaborating with for the game. Then you will choose a city plaque to place in between each of the players, and then choose your city tokens, what do you call these? City meeples for each of your cities to keep track of them. That one actually does look like Paris, so it makes sense that it gets the Eiffel Tower. Then you will shuffle up the different types of tiles. So shuffle up the duplex tiles as best you can. Of course, you can't really shuffle in the typical ways. And then there are so many of these building tiles. Just kind of mix them up the best way you can, and it'll be good enough. And then that's it for setup. You can start your round and start playing Between Two Cities. So thank you so much for joining me. I hope you enjoyed this little instruction video on Between Two Cities, and I hope you get to play Between Two Cities soon.